I got a strange going on out here. Something just killed my dog.
Something killed your dog?
Hey everybody, thank you so much for joining the show tonight. I am your host, Dano. You guys, tonight I got a really cool guest. I've got a fellow veteran, and you know how I enjoy having veterans on the channel. I've got Matt from Drunken Cryptids, and he was active duty Army. And in '02, while stationed at Fort Hood, him and his troops, they had a weird encounter with something that he believes was stalking them. Now, this is not a visual. This is all a Class B. They heard things, um, and he'll get into further detail with that. But you guys, I can't go forward without saying thank you so much for all the support you show the channel. I am literally a few subscribers away from 4,500 subscribers. You guys know I'm grinding, and it's because I want to keep putting content out for you guys because I enjoy connecting with you. So if you guys have had an encounter and you'd like to come on the show, please consider shooting me an email at thecryptidpodcast72@gmail.com. That's thecryptidpodcast72@gmail.com. And also check out Mysteries and Cryptids. That is mine and Joshua Smith's from Mysteries Unknown. That's our new website. It's the email or the website, the URL is www.mysteriesandcryptids.com. It's mysteriesandcryptid.com. Mysteries and Cryptids, I should say, .com. You guys, without further ado, let's bring on my guest for tonight, Matt. Matt, what's going on, buddy? How you doing?
Well, it's a wonderful Tuesday evening in Arkansas. We have like 70-degree weather right now, and it's amazing.
Dude, I mean, we're having unseasonably cooler weather up here in Minnesota as well. Normally, we're in the 80s and 90s, and we're hovering around mid 70s. So,
yeah, just last week we were hitting heat indexes and temperatures of over 110.
Yep, ours was close to 100.
Yeah, so I mean, this is like a great. I'm not gonna lie. Like I texted my wife this morning. I was at work. I was like, I'm loving the weather because I work outside, so everything I do is outside.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I prefer. Yeah. So this is like my first night recording at the new house. To be honest with you.
Nice, man.
Yeah.
Next thing you know, you'll be having a whole lighting setup and everything out there, and yeah, it's great. I definitely want to move my office around a little bit more, and I could put some stuff on the walls over here and over here. And
well, I see the Seahawk flag in the background.
Yeah, I'm a diehard Seattle fan, man. I grew up in Seattle, Tacoma area, and so I'll always be a Seattle Seahawks, Seattle Mariners, Seattle Sonics, Sounder, Kraken, you name it. I'm a Seattle fan.
So I'm originally from Utah, but I'm a diehard Utah Jazz fan. But my team is I'm a diehard Steeler fan. So yeah. I'm all about I'm all about the Steelers. I'm the Penguins. So those are my teams. And even Utah just got a hockey team called the Hockey Club, and I'm like, I can't do it. I'm sorry. I'm
really
still they're called the Hockey Club. Yeah.
Oh,
the Utah Hockey Club.
just like the Washington Commanders were the Washington football team or something like that a couple years ago. So
which is still crazy.
Yeah. So you were Army. How many years did you serve in the Army?
Yeah, I did 11 years from 93 to 04. Got hurt, full honors, everything disability in 04. So, yeah, I had a great career. I went, infantry, airborne, and then did a little ranger. Went to ranger school, got tabbed there, and then, I had a great career. Loved it. Loved everything that I did. It was a blast.
Yeah, dude. I would do it all over again. I served from 1990. I went active 1991. I had delayed enlistment because I was one of the smart guys. I got a guaranteed job. So I wasn't going to drive a truck or be a cook or work in supply. I knew what I wanted to do, and I would not leave the recruiter's office until I had that guaranteed job. So I said took my first oath, the here I am. I'm signing up. I'm doing delayed enlistment. Took that in August of 1990, and then went to Lackland Air Force Base, Texas, in February of '91.
Smart.
And Gulf War kicked off and ended before I got out of training, and then went to Cap Bullis, Texas, for a couple of specialty classes, then Fort Dix, New Jersey, and then off to Germany.
Love Germany. Yeah, we just talked about that, off air. Love Germany.
Dude,
So,
Germany
yeah.
was a choice assignment, dude. I loved it.
Yeah, I did. Yeah, I did. I walked in the recruiting office and I said, I want airborne infantry and I don't want any BS. And the recruiter goes, sit down. And well,
Yep.
there I was.
And the rest is history.
This is history. Oh yeah, definitely.
So let's get in on this encounter that you had. Now, what I'll do is I'll put you front and center. I'll be off camera. I'll mute my mic. Just tell us what happened, and then if you've had another counter after that, jump right on into that. When you're done, just say, "Hey, Dano, that's it," and then I'll come back on camera and ask you some questions that I've written down.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you real quick, about my podcast and everything, how I got involved with that, because that kind of leads in with the encounter that took place.
Oh yeah.
So, I spent my life. I'm originally from Utah, so I grew up in the Wasatch Front, northern Utah, the Uinta Mountains. My stepdad had a cabin out there, so we'd always be in the Uinta Mountains. And of course, this was all in the early '80s and all through the '80s and such. So there was no Skinwalker Ranch TV shows, anything at that point in time. But my family always grew up with legends and stories of Bigfoot. My step grandfather used to keep a scrapbook of newspaper articles that from people who would have sightings in the Wasatch Front. So it was pretty cool that the newspaper had that. My grandfather's passed on it, and so my stepdad and his brother are still going through, and it's not a priority, but they're trying to find the scrapbook for me.
Ooh, cool.
Yeah, I know. So I know. So my Uncle Mike is trying to look for it. And my stepdad's here in Arkansas with me, so I mean, he's not there to look. But yeah, I grew up with that. In 1992, found a possible hand track at the basin of Hellhole Lake, there in the Uinta Mountains. My mom, I was with my family, and my mom discovered it first, and I got pictures of that. I'll send them to you if you'd like.
Yes, I would.
Yeah, I still have those, which is funny, from '92. Joined the Army in '93, and like we said, and the rest was history there. Was stationed at Fort Hood in '99. In '02, was assigned to a mech unit. So it was August, which was hot down in Fort Hood, Texas. The unit was performing an EIB, which is Expert Instrument Badge, and I was cadre for that. So to be cadre for the EIB, you have to have an EIB. So I had a lane, and what the EIB is, it's for the infantry soldiers to go through stations based upon being an infantry soldier. You got to qualify expert. You got to qualify on your PT test. At the time, you had to have 80 points or above in every event. You had to do a ruck march within a certain amount of time. You had to do weapon proficiency tests. You had to do land navigation tests. There's a whole slew of tests you have to do, and you get 2 chances to the pass, and third one you're out. So it's a tough an award to win. I earned mine actually in Korea in '99, so I was kind of a late bloomer. But so at the same time the unit was doing the EIB, they were also doing a quick qualification for gunnery. Any kind of on any weapon system in the military, like tracked vehicles, aircraft, artillery, all that, they have to go through what they call a Table 8 qualification, so that way they're considered combat ready. So again, this is August of '02. Everybody's kind of prepping up for what was taking place over in the Middle East. So they had too many sticks in the fire. I'm not mentioning the unit's name. Too many sticks in the fire, so they're just throwing stuff together. Well, for the Bradley Table 8 was located at one range in North Fort Hood. And my unit rarely ever trained in North Fort Hood. We always trained either in Central or out to the west. So it was kind of a new area. Didn't know the range at all. And they set up an ammunition holding area, an AHA. So, and it would be, you'd go out there, sit there, watch the ammunition. They would have a Humvee come down, drop off spent brass and ammo and pick up, ammunition to replace. He got signed for it and stuff, and it was all surrounded a little concertina wire area. And if you pull 24 hours on, it'd be yourself and 2 guards, and then 24 hours off. So I got tasked with being an IC for one of the shifts, and the first shift out there. Well, let me back up a little bit here. His story always gets me. All right, so where the site was located at was off of a tank trail, and tank trails are dirt roads. So you have the main road, hardball road that travel on going down the road, and then beside it, they'd have a tank trail for track vehicles to run down so they don't tear up the asphalt of the road. And then they would turn left, or they'd have a crossing area to go right, depending upon what direction they needed to go into a training area. So the ammunition holding area was off of one of these little tank trails off of the main road. It was probably about 400 meters away from, maybe about 400 meters away from the hardball, if that. And you would turn off the hardball, would go down a dirt road, and that little spot set up. So I had to actually do land navigation to get there because there was no GPS in their phones at the time. So first time I go there, nothing happens. It's a boring detail. But there was no radio. There was no weapon. Normally when you have these details, you have to sign for a weapon. You got to sign for the radio. Check everything off, verify serial numbers. But nothing. Like I said, they just threw it together, threw guys to wash the ammo, and said that was pretty much it. So from there, first aid, nothing big deal. I got relieved. 2 days later, I go back out there, and I relieved Sergeant M. And when I got there, Sergeant M looked absolutely just tired. Like he hadn't slept all night long. You do sleep on this duty. You really do. It's really lazy. He has slept all night long. And I even told him, I said, "Did you not sleep?" And he said, No, we had a bunch of coyotes coming in. And I was like, all right, out in the field, and especially at Fort Hood, tons of coyotes. The coyotes know wherever there's soldiers, there's going to be free food. I mean, soldiers are kind of trashy in the field. They are. It's, we're not really environmental friendly for that. So the coyotes know, the wildlife knows free food. Wherever there's soldiers out in the field, there's free food. So going, all right, not a big deal. The cows coming in. So him and his people left, and I had 2 guards from another platoon. I didn't know these guys at all. They just happened to draw the unlucky straw and get stuck with me on a Saturday for guard duty. So, and I will refer to them as Daniel Boone and David Crockett through the rest of the encounter. So the morning goes on. It's hot. We have a little camo net set up, and the area is kind of nice. As you come down the tank trail, to the left is thick woods. On the right, it's kind of sporadic, but further out about 75 meters from the tank trail is another set of thick woods, and they had cut a line through there for them to put power lines through. So, but they never did. So it's just this little lane cut through the middle of the trees. And then there's a dirt berm, and the dirt berm, which is a hill, was probably about, I don't know, probably 5 feet tall, looking back on it. And then on the other side, away from the road, there was a thick brush, and the dirt berm was only maybe 30 feet long. And that's where we'd park the vehicles at. And then we had the camo net set up. We could have some shade and MRE boxes and such. So, because we had to take our trash out with us when we left. So the other guard didn't have a trashy site. So we get there. There's not really much MREs. Boring morning. And I got the idea it was just payday. And I couldn't leave the site. So I asked one of the guys if they wanted to go and go down to main post and pick up some Whoppers from Burger King. So the one guy that had a car, he said, yep. So he jumps in his vehicle, takes off, and comes back about an hour later because it was a drive from North Fort Hood all the way down to main post, then back up. Well, I gave him $20 to get us Whoppers, and he came back with $10 worth of Whoppers. So now we have Whoppers for days. So we kind of pig out, gorge ourselves on some Whoppers, having some left over, and these 2 kids end up getting bored. So the boring detail, I'm reading a book, and they're just visiting. They know each other, and they're talking back and forth, and they start making spears and bows and arrows. A bored infantryman in the field is probably one of the most dangerous animals you'll ever encounter. a bored infantryman soldier gets real creative, they get real imaginative, and they do make spears and bows and arrows, and they have a good time. Well, they had heard Sergeant M mention the coyotes that morning. So they said, hey, Sergeant, is it all right if we take some of these whoppers and go make some traps for the coyotes? And I was like, yeah, but you're going to do it way over there on the other side of the Aha. And, go ahead. Because they're not going to catch anything. I know they're not going to catch anything. I was watching them make spears and bows and arrows. So they take about 3 whoppers. They walk out there. They set the traps up and they come back. The day goes by. It's long and hot, slow. Nothing happens. And then again, August. And the sun goes down late, about, 9 o'clock, between 8 and 9 o'clock at night, sun goes down. It had gotten dark. I had a little pen light with me, and I had a glow stick, a chem light. We crack it, shake it, glows. And I had a green one and had my can of Pringles, my little pogey base. I'm leaning up against my rucksack, reading my book, snacking on Pringles. And these 2 guys are talking when one of them said, did you hear that? And the other guy goes, yeah, I heard that. And I commented with, heard what? And I said, well, Sergeant, it sounded like somebody dropped the canteen, a half-filled canteen. And if you've ever dropped one of the old plastic Army canteens half-filled with, water, when it hits the ground, it makes a distinct thunk sound. So I'm sitting there for a few minutes and I'm listening. And I realize, the car goes down the hardball. You could hear it, and it sounded like it hit something, and it echoed. And I told them that's what they heard. They heard that echo. And they were adamant, no, Sergeant, that's not what we heard. That's not what we heard. And that's when I realized also the direction they said they heard the noise coming from, there was no insects. There was no crickets. There was no bugs. There's no nothing. You could hear the crickets and everything on my right towards the hardball, but further to the left, which would have been my west, nothing at all. And I'm realizing this going, okay, there's something over there. So I'm watching, and all of a sudden the noises pick up to the left, and on the right, the noises go down. So whatever had gone to the left has now moved over to the right. And I'm going, all right, there's definitely something happening out here. And as I'm watching over the right, I hear a vehicle approaching, coming from the right, which would have been the east, and it was a Humvee showing up. And so, of course, all this is being forgotten about. We get up, and I walk over to the driver. I set my stuff down, walk to the Humvee. I know the driver. Me and him are, BSing back and forth, and my guys are helping unload the spent brass and ammo and get ready to load, and I'm getting ready to sign and double check serial numbers. And I turn to look over at the camo net where I left my chem light at, and my chem light was missing. So I turned and was getting ready to ask one of my guys when he walked up to me and he goes, hey, Sergeant, can I borrow the chem light so I can help see some of these numbers? And we had a little back and forth where I thought you had it. Well, I thought you had it. I look at the driver and he goes, here, have a box. Hands me a box of chem lights. We go through the rest, checking serial numbers, but I kept looking expect to see my chem light bobbing up and, through the trees. So the Humvee leaves, we go back. And they're like, hey, Sergeant, where is the chem? They're stressing with the chem light. I'm concerned about the chem light because there's no reason for the chem light just to disappear. And that's when I decided to where we're going to take the box of chem lights and go over to the ammunition area and mark off every picket with a chem light. So that way we provide just a little bit of light out there in front of us where the ammunition was at. Because my thought process at this point is either there's another unit out here in training. They think either we're the Op 4 or we're the Blue 4, one of the two. And so they don't know because we're not really supposed to be there. So we're about to get hit with misidentification and there's another unit messing with us. So if I put up more chem lights, it's going to kind of let them know, we're not being tactical, if that makes sense. So they're going to kind of realize maybe go around us or maybe come up and, announce their presence. We get to the first picket. I cracked the chem light, shake it, mark it, and I walked along the Costina wire. And I got my little pen light out, and I got Daniel Boone and David Crockett behind me. And And the second one, crack it, mark it. And all this happened simultaneously. As I turned the corner to head to the third picket, I stepped into a cold spot. And the cold spot was so cold in my pen light, I saw my breath. At the same time I hit the cold spot, to my left, the same direction they heard from earlier, was a thunk sound. And it was a thunk. It was like a canteen being dropped thunk on concrete. I'm trying to back into the cold spot, trying to figure out where that went. And you got these guys right behind me. So, they're freaking out. Did you hear it? Did you hear it? Did you hear it? I'm like, yeah, I heard it that time. But, so we speedily marked the rest of the area of the pickets. So we go back, and that's when the guys realize that there's no crickets. There's no bugs. There's nothing. It's absolutely silent all around us. The only noise that we can hear is the sound behind us coming from the thick woods, and that's where the insects are at. And I said, okay, there's somebody out here messing with us, you guys. We know it. I said, so let's get away from the camo net. That's where they think we're at. We'll step over by this thicket, and we have the ammunition to our left. So I put us out there. I put us down to our knees. And I was facing towards the west, the east direction. And I had one guy over my left shoulder covering everything in there. I had the other guy over my right shoulder covering everything there. And I had the thicket right to my right, to where it was probably 4 feet. I mean, it's like I could almost touch this, thicket. Then there was a good Texas thicket you can't walk through it with a machete. So as we're sitting there for about 5 minutes, something starts walking towards me. And it was clearly bipedal. 2-step, 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 2-step. And it was steadily walking straight up in my direction. So as it's walking, I'm trying to put my head lower to the ground to try and silhouette it up against the skyline so I could see it, because there's a line of trees that had the skyline, and I was trying to get lower so I could see it pop up. It was either Daniel Boone and David Crock on my left shoulder, and he kept saying, cursing, and I kept popping him and to shut him up. At that point in time, he got about 4 feet in front of me, and that's when I turned the flashlight on. And again, all this happens simultaneously. Flashlight comes on. There's absolutely nothing in front of me, but to my immediate right in the thicket, something bolts out of the thicket up over the berm. I jump up, run down the thicket to go up to the berm. I get on top of the berm. As I do, this large rock lands behind me. And it wasn't like, a rock. We're talking big ass rock, because it made a thump thump when it hit. I knew it was a rock. I spun around, went to the bottom of the hill, and grabbed Daniel Boone. I pulled him up face to face with me. As I'm yelling at him, if this is you guys messing with me, I'm going to, bury you out here. I'm being the typical sergeant, yelling, screaming in your face, I'm going to kill you and stuff. And I realized this kid is crying. I mean, he's literally crying. And as I realized that, and the thick was behind me, is when I hear a log break. So, the kind of sound. So I kind of shove off of him. I sprint over and I jump into the woods. And I got maybe 10 feet in those woods. And it was just, it was dark. Absolutely dark. Even with my little pen light, it was dark. And the funny thing is too, is that my memory of being in the woods is what, I have one version to where I'm, holding the flashlight and I can see through my own eyes. And there's another one where I'm looking at me from about my 130 position, maybe 10 feet from me, and waving the flashlight like I'm a third person. But I remember stopped 10 feet in those woods. There was no noise, nothing. It was silent. And I knew I had to back out. And I slowly started stepping out, got to the tank trail, staring, at the woods, and just felt just completely defeated. I looked to my right and I saw our vehicles, and I got inspired. Trotted on down. I started my truck up. I turned my headlights on, and when I turned the headlights on, it lit up the whole area, and it was just like the clouds parted, the sun shining down, angels singing. And I was like, yeah, all right, there's light, safe. But then I realized, I got to be tactical. I can't leave the truck running. I can't have the headlights on. I can't do any of that stuff. So I turned my truck off. And this was in 02. In 2001, a movie had come out that summer, and everybody was really, really hyped up into it. Called The Fast and the Furious. Everybody went out and got neons put on their vehicles. I mean, it was ridiculous. And I was an idiot, and I had neons on my truck. I was a young soldier, so I put neons on my truck where the windshield wiper fluid would come out instead of have blue neons. So I thought, I'll turn my blue neons on. So I turn my blue neons on, and I walk over. Daniel Boone and David Crockett are pretty much hugging each other, and they're crying, and they're asking to leave. Can we leave? 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 And I'm like, no. So I'm thinking that they thought when I started my truck up and turned the headlights on that was the sign that we were going to leave. I said, no, we can't leave. We have to guard everything, live for our post, put our post on the proper leave. Just what we're supposed to be doing. And I lit a cigarette up, and I turned my head over and looked at my truck. And right then, the driver neon winked. Something walked in front of it. And in a matter of seconds, I was at the front of that truck. And there was nothing. Nobody was running down the tank trail either direction. Nobody was. Ran off to the woods. There was no dust. There was nothing. And I remember at that point in time, I just turned off my neons and walked back over to those guys. And I stepped away from the camel in it, and I sat down on the ground. And they sat down with me, and I lit up another cigarette, and I was like, this is what we're here for. So for the rest of the night, you would hear it. You'd hear it moving. The noises would get quiet. They would come in, they would go out. And then the moon came up and everything went normal. And then the sun came up and everybody's brave again. And sun's up, and I'm thinking of everything that happened, and looked at Daniel Boone and David Crockett, and I said, you know what? Go check your traps. Go check those traps. Go check the whoppers. And they got excited. They're like, oh, yeah. So they go run the first trap, and they're jumping up and down. They're yelling, calling my name when I come trotting over. And the first whopper was completely untouched. Nothing had touched it. Or the second whopper, or the third whopper. All three whoppers were completely untouched that night. The account bothered me so much when I got home. My ex-wife looked at me and asked if I had been in a fight, if I slept, if I had. I looked beat down, is what she said. That evening, we were going to a friend's house. So the night we were going to cook out and relax. A buddy of mine from the unit. And it bothered me so much, I told him, and he asked me, what do you want to do? And I said, I want to get back in my truck. I want to go up there and make sure those guys are okay. They relieved me. So I got my truck. He went with me. And we went down, got to the site, and it felt normal. I mean, it felt completely just like any night in the woods should feel. And, the guy that relieved me, he's like, hey, man, what are you doing back out here? And I came up with a story like my grandfather's knife. I think I left it out there or something. I can't find it. So we pretend to look for it with a flashlight. And the whole time it felt normal. So a few days later at the unit, I saw Sarnam when I asked him. I said, so you had coyotes that night? And his answer was, yeah, coyotes. So, are you sure about that? And he goes, yeah, coyotes. And walked away. And that is the abbreviated version of the AHA story from Fort Hood.
Man, I'm going to tell you right now, that is... See, I know what it's like to be on post and encounter something weird. And how long did it take you to kind of recover from that whole episode?
I don't think I did. Every time I get to the part where I walk in the woods, I get, look, I've been trained, I've been all over the world, but that right there in those woods scared it wasn't real, if that makes sense. It doesn't, looking back, it almost feels like it wasn't real.
Yeah.
Me and Todd Neese, we were talking probably about 6 months ago up at his property. He moved to Arkansas from Washington. And he, from his encounter, he went through and he did the regressive hypnosis and everything. So, when he said, I got more details out of it and stuff, and he goes, I warn you, you'll cry. And we're talking about having me do that now, because this was back in 2002. This was 23 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
So, but yeah, I could draw you out right now on paper, the whole entire site. I was only there twice. You draw the whole entire site out, where the vehicles were parked at, where the chemo net was at, where the thick woods were at, or how the berm was looking. You know what I mean? I do a sector sketch for you from that one for 23 years later still.
Yeah.
So, and it, but that was kind of a big launching point into the podcast, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
I spent, I would sit around and talk about it, every once in a while, sit around a bunch of people, and I start telling ghost stories and stuff and weird encounters. And, I would say, let me tell you about what happened to me on AHA. So it became known as the AHA story. And, yeah, the podcast got started during 2020 when the bars were opening back up. I was semi-retired at the time, so I had a lot of free time on my hands, and I was single. So I'd be just going bar, and every night, a couple of the regulars and me ended up in the corner and started talking and telling stories. And the bartender said, Matthew, you should start a podcast. And at the time, I didn't know what a podcast was. I thought it was like one of those YouTuber thingies.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not going to sit there and open up, toys and packages and stuff. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Yeah. So I didn't really figure out what a podcast was a couple of years after that. And then, I figured, no, I'll start listening. And I listened to an episode of Search for Sasquatch, and the guy kind of had something similar to what I ran into. And I was like, okay, let me reach out to Wes and talk to him and have him on the show. And I'm not gonna, I got the bug and I wanted to do it more. But, the way I look at it is going through podcasts, I actually heard on another show, The Confessionals, he dropped it like a week, either last week or the week before. These two guys, one was former Marine, and they were out goofing off, and they had the same thing to where they could hear it. Where it should have been, it wasn't there at all. It was, and listening to it, just, yeah.
So you were on Sasquatch Chronicles.
Yeah.
That's where I heard your story.
Oh, okay.
As soon as you started talking about it, and then when you mentioned the Whoppers and you mentioned the Kim light missing, I'm like, I've heard this story. It was you telling it on Sasquatch. I was on Sasquatch Chronicles as well. So,
oh, sweet. Wes is a great guy.
Wes was the first person I reached out to.
Same.
It was like about 30 plus years before I could tell him my encounter. And I never told him the entire encounter. Yeah, it was. And then I was also on Tony Merkel's show, The Confessionals. And I went into more of the paranormal stuff that I'd been involved in, not only, in the military, but prior to the military and after the military. And when I first went on his story, or on his podcast, it wasn't even, I don't think, a month later, I emailed him again. I'm like, man, stuff is starting to ramp up again. And I just need to tell you that I got more stuff happening right now. And I was like on an overtime episode as well. So,
oh, wow.
So let me ask you some of these questions, man, because
fire away.
We'll talk about the podcast. I got a couple questions about the podcast, but can you describe the noises that you were hearing?
Footsteps.
And that's all it was footsteps.
All except for the thunk. The thunk was the only unique sound that did not fit in anywhere. And that was the only, like I said, so the thunk was odd. Because when I heard it, like I said, I just turned a corner. I mean, there's some more paranormal stuff that happens with this encounter as well.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just sticking to the cryptids, which I believe, but all of it's paranormal to me. So, but when the thunk happened, that cold spot, I mean, it was a loud, distinct thunk. I mean, we've all been at formation. We've all been, if you've been in the military
Yep.
with all your TA-50 and everything on, somebody drops a canteen. It always happens, and that
Mhm.
distinct thunk, and there's no other sound like it.
No. Now, did the footsteps, were they a methodic footstep, like step, step? Could you tell that they were heavy? Did you kind of feel them come through the ground?
Don't remember feeling anything. I remember hearing them, and the most distinct part was when I was right beside the thicket, and it was a methodical step. I mean, a little bit fast, but I mean, it was walking straight towards me,
Right.
but no hesitation. I mean, it was just like strolling up towards me. That's what I was going. I've got you now. I've got you now. Thinking they were going to try to sneak up on us. Because to be honest with you, it's really, 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 really hard to be a ninja in the woods.
Yeah.
Hollywood has done a great job of making people think you can walk quietly through the woods.
Yeah, that's not happening.
No, you can walk quietly, but you can't walk silently.
Right. Oh yeah. Do you think there were more than one in that area?
Okay, so my first thought was no. I thought there was just the one. And me and Justin from Cruise the Corn, we were talking last year about it. And he believes that there was multiple ones. So when the rock got thrown and I spun around, it almost felt like it was trying to get my attention. And then with the log breaking behind me in the woods. So it almost like it screwed up and stepped on something, or was trying to draw me away from something else. But how it would move, have there be one here, and like I said, the thing walking towards me, I said there was nothing there. Then immediately something to my right jumped out. So there's, I mean, I'm not going to say a portal. I mean, honestly, if you think about it, 7 feet. Into a thicket to run out. And of course, looking back, I had to investigate the thicket. I wasn't looking for footsteps. I wasn't, footprints.
Right.
So, but yeah, that was pretty much on. Yeah, looking back, I think there was more than one.
Yeah, I was to say the reason I asked is because things that you mentioned in the aha encounter, it made me believe that there's absolutely more than one surrounding you guys. So, um, so do you believe one of them took your chem light, or did it pop up later?
Never showed up.
Awesome.
I expect the whole night. I fully expected, even sitting there listening to this stuff happening, to see my chem light just kind of moving through. You know what I mean?
That would have been so crazy.
I think I would have left.
Yeah, I think I would have been dereliction to duty. I would have left without being properly relieved. I'd have told them go. I would have told them where to go and how to get there, and I'll fill my own Article 15 out. So,
Yep.
Okay, I know what Op 4 is. What is Blue for?
The good guys.
Okay.
So when you're in training and you go out the trail and you train against each other, so you'll have one unit will be designated as the Op 4, which is the opposing force.
Yep.
And then another unit is the Blue 4, which is the good guys, per se.
Yeah.
We're the Americans. We're the good guys.
Yeah. It's just fun. I've been on training maneuvers and things like that, and I don't ever recall us being called Blue 4. But again, that's just different training at different times. And so, how many times did you hear that thunk sound?
Just the once. I only heard it the once. They heard it twice.
Okay. Did you hear anything else coming from in front of you when you were walking towards that thicket?
No.
No, just okay.
Yeah, just that.
And now on to the questions that I have. So, how long have you been doing this podcast, Drunken Cryptids?
Okay, well, all right. So the podcast started last year in end of February, beginning of March. Like I said, I had people pushing me to start one, and I kind of knew what direction I wanted to go with it. Cryptid, paranormal. I thought, the more encounters, it's one thing they listen to everybody else's show, and I'm all about listening to everybody's shows. But also, I know hopefully we can get more listeners and we can get together and come up, because I think it's going to be us that actually breaks out what it really is.
Yep.
I really do. And it is by listening to people's encounters and listening to other shows and their encounters as well. I come up with some theories plus my own research. But the podcast started, buddy of mine, Maddie, had been pushing me for about 3-4 months. It got mentioned somehow, and he was all excited. He's like, dude, you got to do it. Dude, you got to do it. Dude, you got to do a podcast. Man, I'll produce it. I'll do what you got to do. And I was like, all right. And I listened to a show, and somebody said, if you ever start a podcast, you always want to have a name. Before you do anything,
Yep.
get the name, make sure nobody has that name. And I was like, all right. Well, at the time, I was playing a lot of trivia, go to restaurant trivia, bar trivia stuff. Let's come up with a team name. You can't have any cell phones on the table, and this person asking questions. I'd always try and tie in, Bigfoot or something like that to a lot of our names, and just to have fun with it.
Mm-hmm.
And it was me and a couple of buddies of mine. And I looked at the table, and we had like 4 pitchers of beer. You know what I mean? And I was like, man, we are some drunks. And they just flowed out. We made Drunken Cryptids. And I was like, oh, that's the name of the podcast.
Nice.
So I told my buddy Matty about it, and he goes, he was like, oh, sweet. Hey, check this out. That domain's available. I was like, what? And he goes, yeah, dude, you could own the drunkencryptids.com. And I was like, what? So, yeah, on a Saturday night at my fire pit at my old house is when we set everything up. And that next day, I recorded my first episode with an army buddy of mine.
Nice. I own the Cryptid Podcast. I couldn't believe that it was available.
Isn't that crazy?
The Cryptid Podcast, the most basic, simple, this is what it is. And the domain name was available. The podcast name was available.
Yep.
And so, yeah, I snatched it up. So, and here I am.
Sweet.
So, and again, I was just going to ask, how did you come up with the name? And you just did. So that is such a cool, organic way of coming up with the name for your podcast.
Well, I wanted it to be something that would be fun. The topics we get into are, they're serious. And, for the people that have had these encounters, ourselves included, as you said, it took you 30 years. It does take people a long time to be able to come out and be open about this stuff. So I wanted to have something that would be kind of fun. I wanted to create a setting where we're sitting around the fire, we're having some drinks, and we're just talking.
Yep.
And that's how it came about. And that was the first goal. I'll crack on fire in the background, stuff like that. And so, and the way it's evolved, and the cool part is by, doing this stuff is that, last year, I was Todd Neese invited me up to Northwest Arkansas to be filmed with Jason Kinsey in an episode of Searching for Sasquatch. So I was filmed with that last year. That was fun. And and with the word getting out about me here, there's another great group, the Arkansas Bigfoot Cartel. They've reached out, and my buddy Jacob's gone investigating with them. But this awesome couple up in Northwest Arkansas, they got a hold of me, and I've got a couple episodes with them. And they were like, hey, listen, we're having some weird activity. We heard about your show. We want to talk to you about it. Well, they just moved here from California 3 years ago. They're about 3 acres in a beautiful area. 2 hours away north of here. By a recreational lake. Everything. And they're having activity. And that's where, we found a knuckle track. Got growled at, this will make you laugh. So, we're up there during the day investigating, and something growled at us from the woods. It was a literal low growl, not canine, but a growl. And I looked at my buddy Jacob and the homeowner, and as soon as we heard the growl, we heard a tree knock. And I looked at both of them, and I went, okay, so we all heard that, right? Make sure it wasn't just, so, but that'll make you laugh. So that night when we went back in the same area, Now, here's the thing, too, though. So the homeowner, when he realized that we were going back out there at night, he thought we were done. Like we were going to go home. I'm like, no, it's nighttime. This is, you know, it's my time at night. It's my time. He wasn't going to go. He was, I mean, literally refusing to go. He was, this is a guy who was a former Marine, law enforcement background, retired. Him and his wife moved from California to come here to Arkansas to spend the rest of their time out and relax and just kind of chill. Yeah, older, and he would not leave the front porch. My buddy Jacob even looked at me at one point and he goes, with all the activity happening, like all we caught was the growl so far. We got the knuckle. We saw the handprint, which was the knuckles, which is really cool. I'll have to send that to you. He was like, how come they just don't move? I'm like, man, this is their house. I mean, this is their home.
Right.
I'm not gonna say I'm here to see what is going on. That's what we're here to do. I said, but they've already doing what they're supposed to be doing. Putting up lights, sensor lights around their property, trying to, what they can do. So, and Jacob even goes, I'll be honest with you, man, if we see something, I can't promise you I'm not going to run. I'm like, you're good, buddy. I get it. Because, he's never seen anything. So we go down to the area and we're checking everything out and it's quiet. I do remember that. It was quiet. That whole night, all 3 acres was quiet. And we were checking something out and I smelled cat poop. And I was like, okay, who stepped in cat poop? I mean, literally, seriously, cat poop. So we get back, and a couple days later, I'm racking my brain out, and I talked to another resident up in the area, and he goes, "Yeah, man, we got bobcats." And I was like, "I didn't even think of bobcats." He goes, "Yeah, I chased one out of my garage." So I started playing bobcat sounds, and that low growl that I heard, that was a bobcat.
Mm.
So that night, it was still in the area, and apparently, the cat poop on that. So, but again, too, that doesn't take away from where the hand track was. On the other side of the property, though, that night, that's where we got huffed at, and that was really, I'm like, for me, it was really cool. It was 2 huffs, and again, this is where, the story changes. So the homeowner was in the front, Jacob was in the middle, and I was in the back. There's 3 of us. And we heard a whoop, whoop kind of sound. They turned left towards the road and then turned right. They heard it go one time to the left and one time to the right. I heard it both times to the right in these weeds. To where we are trying to move around this thick brush to try and get into what was making this noise. But back to the 2 sounds. My perception of it was 2 to the right. The other 2 guys, one left, one right. So as I asked another investigator, I said, "Who's right?"
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And
Oh,
there's, I can't say I was right, and I can't say, they were right.
Now, I've hunted for many, many years, and I know deer make a huffy noise.
It wasn't deer.
That's what I was about to ask you.
It was more of a, I played the deer noise. My first thought when we got back, let me play, because, I remember the sound. If I could hear it right now, I could, that's what I heard.
Right.
But it was completely unnatural noise. It was natural, but unnatural. But it was just a real quick, but it was more of a, I'm even doing it wrong.
Let me see here. I have, let's see if I think this is the sound Daryl Adams sent me. I think this is the huff that he sent me. Let me know if this is what it sounded like.
No, that was more of a growl.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, that was a growl. So what I heard was like it was a almost sound. You know what I mean? Like you're trying to clear your throat.
Let me see. Hold on a second here. I think Daryl sent me one. Again, let me look here. Daryl Adams sends me a lot of stuff.
Sweet.
I think this is it. Can you hear that?
No.
No? Okay. I got a great mic.
I did. So what's funny is that I was doing I was trying to play sounds because when I interviewed them the first time before we went up there, I was like, "Is this what you heard?" And they're going, "We can't hear it." You know what I mean? And I was like, "Oh."
Let's see here. Yeah, I gotta see if I can save this or send it, because I think this sounds like a huff in the let's see if I can. I might have to get him to. Oh, here, let's see if I can do it this way. Are you on Facebook?
Yeah, I think we're friends.
Okay. Oh, let me look, because I'll forward it to you so you can hear it later.
Oh, sweet. Yeah,
And
definitely.
let me know. Yeah, I'll look to see, and I'll send it to you. But yeah, I mean, I think that oh man, I love hearing stuff that happened on military bases, and I think
So,
it's really cool that I've already heard your story. And again, honestly, it was the Whoppers and the Chem Light that made me. I'm like, I've heard this story before. So, oh, and you'd mentioned that you have a theory as to how these things move.
yeah,
What's that theory? Can you share it with us?
yeah. So I still a working theory. Uh, we've heard the spider crawl.
Yep.
Okay. So, and if you listen to eyewitnesses, a few of them who've seen it go into a spider crawl, how quick does it drop into a spider crawl? It's not a slow progression. It's a drop. I mean,
It's
it's
like
instantaneous.
instantaneously. Yep.
It's like a natural thing for them. I think they are. I think they are more of a spider crawl type of creature than they are upright. All of our upright encounters that we see are quick, and then they're gone. It's almost like the old, as in the military, I'm up, they see me, I'm down.
Yep.
You don't see them striding forever,
No.
and they don't. I mean, they'll be walking along and then they're gone.
I
What's really cool is I've got footage. I found footage on a documentary. So, funny story. So last year, me and the kids, we took a skip day. You know what I'm talking about? Me and my little
Oh
ones, we
yeah.
took a skip day. So, they're having a good time. They're playing the Xbox, and I'm browsing around, and I found this documentary on Nanook. Now, my mom's name is Nanette, so my stepdad would always call her Nanook. Okay,
Yep.
and I thought it was kind of comical. I was like, "Oh, let me check this Nanook thing out. What's going on with this?" And there was the camera panning along, showing these, antelope, just kind of like running along. I was like, "That's pretty," and something moved. And I was like, "I'm sorry, what?" I backed it on up. You literally can see something stick its head up and move for a minute and come right back down again.
Mm.
I mean, it's clearly still a fine humanoid, shoulders up. It's on my Facebook somewhere for the podcast page. I have to reshare it again. But yeah, I think I have it on my phone as a video too. I have to send it to you. But you just gotta watch this, right? It's in daylight, you can tell because the narrator doesn't mention nothing like, "Oh, look, there was just Sasquatch." No, I mean, that's up in the Canadian wilderness, and the camera's panning along. You know how they do for their documentaries. Boom.
Yep.
So how many other times does that happen? Maybe.
Oh, dude, more times than we could count. And here's the thing: how many times have people caught it?
Exactly. I
There,
guarantee you, there's been more sightings of Sasquatch out there than people are going to realize. And I
Yep.
do think if they are moving, so I have a picture. Chris, one of my investigators, the first area we went investigate last year was Ball Knob, was his hunting area from his ex father in law. great guy, super nice guy. The farm was wonderful guy. He would not let us come back again because it being real, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
But so he was out there, he was checking his deer stand, he was checking everything, and he saw some interesting kind of, cross trees and stuff. And he goes, all right, I'll take some pictures for Matthew. So we took 2 pictures, boom, boom. And in one picture, we have a side profile of, the nose, the forehead, coming down the part of the shoulder. On the next picture, there's nothing.
Yeah.
So I don't think it's disappearing. I think they're dropping down.
Right.
Now, how many handprints do we see?
Oh, dude. Tons.
Okay, so ready? Okay, we walk upright, right?
Yep.
Okay, so why would our hands be in the mud?
Exactly. No, it makes
Now,
sense.
also, if they're moving that way, if they're upright and they're moving, they're going to leave the heavier tracks. So it's a big animal, it's a heavy animal, heavy creature. They're moving. If they move in a spider crawl, the weight's evenly distributed, so they're going to absolutely not leave that many tracks.
Right.
And the tracks will be harder to find and hard to define because it's not going to be the full foot track that we're looking for.
True.
So they're not doing this to throw us off, their trail. This is just what they do.
Well, I mean, I know Amanda from Squatch and Holler. She's the co-host on Squatch and Holler, and she's known as Amanda Bigfoot Lady on TikTok, and she works at the Georgia, Expedition Bigfoot Museum, and it's in North Georgia. And I met the owner. I think his name's David. I met him at the Tennessee Wildman and Cryptid Con like 2 weekends ago, like 2 Saturdays ago. And she encountered what she believes it was spider crawling towards her. And when she looked, it stopped. And the way she described it, she said it did this with its head. It went like that. Man, I get goosebumps every time I think about that because that's absolutely terrifying.
That gave me goosebumps. So the second time we go up to Prim, it's going to tie into her story. Okay, I just mentioned the town. Same time we go up to investigate this area, I had the guys from Trump with the Spirits. They're out of Kansas City. Great podcast guys. They mainly focus on paranormal. And they were like, dude, we want to go on a cryptid hunt. This would be so cool. And I'm like, well, they're taking me in 2 weeks to the Sally House. So they're going to investigate with them. So I'm like, all right, y'all take me to the paranormal. I'll take you to cryptids. And they came down here and they were all excited. And we're going out there. And we found some potential tracks, maybe some other little den areas. We did find a vertebrae on a tree branch, which was unusual. It was about, a little higher than chest high. But yeah, it was just stuck on a tree branch. Oh. Okay, so the homeowner had accidentally created a gifting area.
Accidentally created a gifting area?
Yes. Okay, so the deer love the marshmallows.
Right.
So she was all of a sudden she threw out a bunch of marshmallows, and within a matter of minutes they were gone.
Okay.
By their deer stand thing. Okay. All right. So they had put marshmallows down there. So what if the vertebrae on the tree branch, and I'll have to send a picture of the vertebrae on the tree branch of them gifting us back.
Okay, that's interesting.
Okay, so same area. Okay. That night we go down there, and this is where I found the knuckle track, everything. I'm to the far left. There's a line of us. There's 4 of us. I'm to the left. I've got Chris. He's probably about 7 feet to my right. And then about 7 feet from him is Dave from the Spears, and then the homeowner, Ray.
Okay.
So Chris goes, eye shine. No, we'd already seen rabbit eye shine earlier.
Right.
So I'm like, my mind's another rabbit. So we got red headlamps on. And I go, where? And he's pointing. I step closer towards him and I raise my white light up. And, as I'm getting ready to turn the light on, I can see the eye shine now with my red lamp.
Okay.
And I turn my flashlight on and it's right there. And I was like, oh, it was an amberish, bluish, you know what I mean? eye shine, and it was huge. And I remember, and I was like, "Whoa, this thing is! I mean, it's huge." But it wasn't 7 feet off the ground. It was probably, I mean, it was right around maybe 3.5 feet
Yeah.
up. Okay, so we're looking at this thing, and I'm like, "Oh, okay, I see it." So he's got his white light on it. I got my white light on it. Now we're about 4 or 5 feet apart. It glides, and I mean, when it moved, I mean, it just glided. It didn't bob. I mean, it didn't. I mean, do a head bob or anything like anything.
Right.
It was a smooth flow. It moved from left to right, then it dropped down about another foot. So the eyes went down lower, and I'm like, "What?" And then it moved a little bit again to the right, and I took a couple steps. Now I'm probably maybe 7 feet from this thing, and all I can, and again, the eyes. I mean, the can is empty, but I mean, like the bottom of my little soda can eyes,
Yeah.
huge.
Yeah. Gigantic.
Yes, and I was and I was just fine with everything until it blinked.
Yep.
So when it blinked, it was like it was like whoa, and I won't forget. I took a step back. I was like whoa. Even when they comment, okay, you're real. You know what I mean?
Yep.
And the head went lower. I took 2 steps towards it, and the head did a little bob, like as you said, as you just described it. She said the head went back, right?
Yep.
Well, it went low, up, and gone.
Yeah. See, this thing.
And I walked right up there. There's nothing there.
Yeah, this thing didn't disappear. Like,
oh, mine did.
It noticed her looking at it. She was a kid when this happened. I think she was like maybe a teenager. And she said she heard a noise. She looked behind her. She sees this thing skimmering across the ground, like spider crawling. And when they made eye contact, it did this. It went like that. I mean, I get goosebumps. Man, I'm telling you, I don't know what I would have done.
Froze?
It just froze. And then I don't know. I got to go back and watch the episode. But yeah, dude, it was a really weird encounter. Really weird encounter. I wanted to show you a couple pictures, man, because
all right, fire away.
You're an investigator, and I mean, these were all sent to me by people who I've had on the show. Daryl Adams was very gracious with sending me a bunch of pictures. I had a husband-wife team. Husband is like a traveling salesman, and whenever he gets in an area, he stops and he'll walk out into an area and he'll just take random pictures and things like that and analyze them. If he sees something, he sees something. If he doesn't, he doesn't. They wrote a couple of books, and this is pretty cool. So he sent this one, and I blew that picture up.
Okay. So yeah, keep up there for a minute if you don't mind.
Sure.
Okay, this one. Okay, so this one could almost be. Well, I mean, it could almost be female.
That's what it is.
So I mean, that's kind of what I'm looking at. And again, the sad part about it is that it's a blob squatch, but that's fascinating though. But you can you clearly see it's a female.
Now,
so go back to that one again. If you look at the head.
Yep.
So there's something to the top above the eye.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder what that is. Maybe it's matted hair from it sleeping or something.
Maybe. Yeah, it's a fascinating picture. And how you said like you saw a picture and you kind of see a silhouette, of it. So
yeah.
Daryl Adams, do you know who Daryl Adams
Well,
is?
actually, so the picture I have is, I'll send you. I'm not gonna lie to you. It's pretty. Once you see what you're looking at, once you see it, you can't not unsee it.
Oh yeah, for sure. So do you know who Daryl Adams is?
I don't have a clue. I'm sorry.
Oh no, it's okay. Have you heard of Owl Moon Labs?
No.
Okay.
That I know of. I may have.
Oregon property, Tobe Johnson, I think that's his name. Yeah, so Daryl Adams bought this property up in Oregon, and almost immediately he started having encounters. Almost immediately. So here is a picture that he took. So if you look you'll see those 2 trees in the middle
Yeah.
of the circle. If you look to the right of those trees, what we're seeing is the back side, the back right side of a Sasquatch that he has taken multiple pictures of.
Can you blow it up a little bit for me?
I wish I could. I can't.
Okay.
I can't. Let me see if I can. Let's see if I'm able to. I don't think I am. Let's see here.
Because if you joined in 9091, then you're a little older than I am, but I'm not wearing my glasses.
Yeah. I wish I could. I'll see if I can
Well,
get.
but I can see. I mean, I can tell there's something there. I mean, you can tell by looking, but there's no other part of a tree that would make it go up. And looking at it, it looks like it's pretty cleared out area behind it in the background.
Yeah, it's walking up a hill.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, you see that there's. Yeah, I don't see any like fallen brush or anything at all that could make it look that big.
Right. Here is one of many, many trees that he has found on this property.
Oh, I just had somebody send me something very similar to that.
Oh yeah.
That right there, that's yeah.
That takes absolute unhuman type strength to do that.
Yeah. So my next question too, though, so the only question I got to ask when I see some of these, especially coming from that area, how close is the property to a logging facility or a logging site?
I'll have to ask him, but
So
I don't think a lot of that area has been logged.
okay, because I mean how close is it to it? So because there's actually some, there's one of the guys came out a couple years ago and said they get bored with trees with the helicopters and drop them.
Yeah.
For a target like lawn darts.
Yeah. And that, honestly, that could be one of the reasons why people are finding trees that are driven into the ground upside down with the root ball showing.
Yeah, I have that's the one I do have a hard time with, but I do have a theory on the X's though.
Yeah.
Yep.
Which would be what?
And so I think they're marking their territory. So they don't need a GPS. They don't need a mapping system. They like your living room, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we turn all the lights off in your living room, and you could navigate your living room. And you might bump a table, but the table's in that area, right? So you can get from one side of your house to the other side of the house in the dark.
Yeah.
Okay. Don't you think they could do the same thing in the woods?
Absolutely.
Okay. So they don't need markers like this is a safe spot. This is this is that. I think, and the reason why is so up in our area in Bald Knob, we were up there. It's a big property. One end of the property we were having totally different type of encounter with a cryptid, a potential Nalusa over there. And then on the other side of the property, we found it looked like, we're calling it either a nest or a hunting blind. I mean, I'll send you those pictures too. Over there by the blind, the hunting or the nest, there is nothing but cross trees. And they spread heading towards, they're not behind it, they're heading towards the other side of the property. So it's almost, to me, I'm looking at it as it's a marker or a warning, like, hey, this is mine. You stay away from a different cryptid. And, back to the spider crawl as well. If you look at most of the structures that we do find out there, they're not 12 feet in the air. They're low to the ground.
Yep.
I mean, they're moving in and out of these things. So the spider crawl makes more sense. And again, too, the handprints in the mud. Why? I mean, we're upright. Why would we wouldn't put our hands in the mud?
No.
Unless we were crawling.
Right. I also had a guest. She had told me that her grandkids were outside playing and they heard them. She heard them like screaming. And she goes out and they're running through this field. And she said there's something chasing them. Like, not like at a dead run behind it, but it's definitely following them. And she was able to snap a picture of it.
Oh.
And that's what she snapped a picture of.
You might have sent that one to me too. If you can't
Yeah.
blow it up,
Yeah,
can
I'll
blow
see.
it up, or
Yeah, I'll see if I can send it to you.
all right, because that one looks really. I mean, that you pull it back up again if you don't mind.
Sure.
By looking at it, you can see. Okay, so it's zoomed in. The camera zoomed in on the front,
Mm-hmm.
the close up, and that's the sad part.
Yeah.
And then whatever's there in the back. I mean, that's kind of it's an interesting pose from what little I'm seeing of it. It looks like.
Well, she said it stopped when it saw her. It stopped
Huh.
and kind of hunkered down, and she was able to take a picture. She says she believes it was a Dogman.
Very well be. I mean, okay, you mentioned hunker down. Okay, so we'll go back to other sightings. How many sightings do we hear about? It stood up.
Yeah.
It stood up. It stood up. It stood up. It stood up.
Yep.
So they didn't see it squatting down. They just saw it raise up. So if it was already in the spider crawl, then it raises up.
Well, with this, she saw it hunker down.
That's got to be
Yeah.
Does she like canine features? I guess.
Yeah. I mean, I can kind of make out like ears on the top of its head.
I'll have to take a look. So I can kind of think I see where. That just looks creepy to me.
And then, have you heard of? Do you know who Harley Owens is?
No.
Okay, so Harley Owens is 26 years old. He lives in Middle Tennessee, up pretty close to LBL now, and he is very active, going out investigating. And he was out with an in-law of his, and they were just looking in this area, getting ready for hunting season, and they heard a sound behind them. So he turns around, he takes his camera out, picture. That's it. Doesn't see anything, and then goes back amongst their things, or whatever. And then when he goes home, he starts looking at it. He notices this.
The hell is that?
That is a Dogman, he believes. And that thing was actually down in a creek, right? Like if you see those two trees that are kind of sticking out, those two branches sticking out, where that thing is, it drops off down into a creek, and it's standing up in a creek.
Man, I wish I had the other pictures that compare. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, it's crazy. And then I had another listener send me this picture, and I wish I remembered who sent me this picture. This kind of creeps me out.
Okay, I see my eye. Is that eye shine?
Yeah. And if you look real close, I'll send you this one too.
Yeah, that one. That's nightmare fuel.
Yeah. And then he also sent me this one, which is in a general area as well.
That was too far out for me to pull it up.
I'll send you this, but I'm telling you right now, buddy. To me, this looks like a Dogman.
Well, if what I'm looking at, I can see like pointed ears.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And then
So,
I had,
as far as I know, I've never encountered the Dogman. Now, I did have a soldier though. Since we're on Dogman now, and I think you'll appreciate this story. So, being in the military and stuff, we always talk about weird topics all the time. Okay, soldiers. I mean, it's like girls, religion, beer, stuff like that. You know what I mean?
Yep, absolutely.
And ghost stories and everything. So, sorry, I played the light again.
Oh, you're good.
Ooh, perfect for a ghost story light. So, but so and we tell some stories and everything. I lived in a haunted house as a kid, and I told a little bit of that. We're all sitting around out in the field, and he goes, "I don't know if I should tell the story, Sarn." I was like, well, now you got to tell the story. I mean, if you're hesitant to tell the story, you've got to tell the story.
Mm-hmm.
So this is the story, and this is how I remember it. So, I mean, it's probably not going to be verbatim, but this is the only story I've heard from anybody, ghost story wise, while I was in the military, that I remember. because it threw me for a loop.
Mhm.
Now, this is before Dogman. This is before any of this stuff was going on. So this story was told to me in the late 90s. So this kid was adopted and raised in a very great family. The adopted family was perfect. And he was going to his grandparents' farmhouse there in Ohio.
Okay.
And his cousin was going to come. They were going to hang out, stay the night, do the kind of cousin thing with grandma and grandpa, right? So grandma and grandpa had a four-wheeler. It's about dusk, and they decided they're going to jump on the four-wheeler and run off into the woods. And they go racing through the woods, and they say the cousin's driving, my soldier's is on the back. And they were going to go right out where the cows die. So they're going along. It's in the woods. It's darker in the woods, obviously, than it is out because right at dusk.
Mm-hmm.
But he said they went past a tree and he thought he saw claw marks on his tree. And he was like, well, there's no bears in Ohio. You know what I mean? And they go and they get to a spot as they start to turn around. The headlamp is on the four-wheeler. As it's scrolling across the trees, it hits this, as he described it, a 6-foot black dog standing on its hind legs. But he said it was the side profile of it. The eye was red until the headlamp hit the eye, and then the eye went black.
Oh.
He said
Wow.
they paused on it for a minute, and he said to turn his head towards them. His cousin gunned it, spun, fishtailed, flipped around and was hauling ass out through the woods. Now, he said he never looked behind him, but he felt like it was like keeping pace with him right behind him. He was scared to death. He was squeezing his cousin tight. They break through the wood line. They go flying towards the farmhouse. They jump off the four-wheeler. They run inside the house. They run upstairs, and they turn the lights on. And he goes, no, turn the lights off. It'll see us. They turn the lights off. They're peering out the window of where they just came from. And he said he saw a man walk out, look at the farmhouse, turn around, and walk back into the woods.
Hell no.
I told him, I was like, are you effing me? And he goes, no, sorry. No, I mean, I had to get the story out of the kid. And it wasn't like, no, I'm not going to tell you this. No, he legitimately was scared to tell the story.
Yeah.
I'm going, man, werewolves. What?
That's crazy.
So what if we're not able to find some of the Dogmans because they are werewolves?
It's been suggested.
Do you know the Skinwalker? Almost up a cigarette. The Skinwalker ceremony that turned into a Skinwalker, which we don't have all the details because they kept that close to the chest, but we know some of the details, right, of how it turned into a Skinwalker. Is the same as medieval Europe to transform into a werewolf.
Yeah.
But these two cultures, other side of the world from each other, hundreds of years before we're going to be like encountering each other, have the same, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Ceremony to change into a, animal.
Are you familiar with the Moorbach monster?
No.
Han Air Base?
No.
Germany? Oh, dude, look it up. Look it up.
I had a weird German encounter out in the field.
Dude. Well, when I come on your show in a few moments, if you still
actually, we're going to have to postpone your show for me because of the time for tonight. We'll talk off air.
Yeah. So, hey, you know what? Let's go ahead and close this out because we'll talk off air, and I'll tell you what I want to talk about. So,
you and me could probably do this all night long.
Dude, probably 100%. So, hang out in the lobby real quick. And again, I want to say thanks so much for coming on the show, man. I appreciate you.
Hey, I appreciate you letting me come on and tell you a little bit about what we do.
Plug your podcast. Plug what you do.
Yeah. All right. Hey guys, you can find me on our Drunken Cryptids, just the way it's spelled, on any of your streaming platform, your favorite podcast platform. We're on YouTube as well. I'm trying to do more video. I'm kind of an old school like audio. On YouTube though, we will post pictures and stuff as we're talking. But I'm slowly doing more and more video. We do investigations as well. I am going to be speaking at the Ohio Bigfoot Jamboree 2 this year. I'm a guest speaker there in Ada, Ohio on October 4th. So I'm excited about that. But yeah, you can reach out. You want to come to the show, talk, shoot me an email, whatever, hang out, goof off. I mean, pretty chill. I do work a regular job as well, plus this, and recently got married, and I've got 2 of my kids. She doesn't have any kids, so I got my 2 kids, and so yeah, busy guy.
Absolutely. My brother, you hang out in the lobby. Again, thank you so much for coming on the show. And bro, thank you for your service, man. I appreciate you.
Thank you, brother. Appreciate you.
All right, stand by. All right, you guys, that was Matthew. I'm telling you right now, I love hearing military encounters. They're crazy, but then we got into a bunch of other stuff. So you guys, again, if you have ever had an encounter you'd like to come on the show, please shoot me an email. The Cryptid Podcast 72 at gmail.com. The Cryptid Podcast 72 at gmail.com. Also, check out Mysteries and Cryptids website. Mysteries and Cryptids. That's mine and Josh Smith's for Mysteries Unknown. That's our new website. It's www.mysteriesandcryptids.com. You guys, I can't get off here without saying what my buddy Josh always says. He always says, stay prayed up. And what I always like to say, guys, is remember, a legend begins with a sighting. You guys have a great night, and I'll talk to you later.
I got a strange going on out here. Something just killed my dog.
Something killed your dog?